What a pleasure to be here. I am just so happy. Maybe I need to move a little bit on the other side so I can see the screen and know where we're at. But I want to just give you a heads up. I know a lot of people have asked me how long is this going to be, and here's the plan. We're going to try to be here about 90 minutes, 11:30 to 1, and I'll kind of tell you what the plan and the outline is. But then from 1 to 2, we'd love to just have anybody that can or would like to stick around and visit, reminisce, meet some of your heroes. I've already seen some of that going on, and I've been doing a little bit of it myself. I would like to meet every one of you great players that played at Hurricane High School. There's the book. I just have to give a quick shout out to David Hinton. He's not here today. Look at that cover. Isn't that amazing? The old high school, 1937-38, and we've got the new gym. If you haven't seen that, that's a picture of the new gym on the bottom, but pretty exciting stuff. My son-in-law bribed me with this. He just said him and his two brothers had played in this 3-on-3 basketball vet tournament 4th of July, and they'd won it back-to-back, and he said, you know what, we just don't have any competition. Will you show this picture and see if there's somebody out there that can play ball and get a 3-on-3 team together and come play against us? So there you go, a little shout out to each here. So here's kind of the plan. I want to give a short introduction. I know there have been a lot of questions. Hey, what started all this? How did we get to this point? And so I'm going to just give a short introduction. The first 20 minutes or so, we're going to talk about the top 10 teams. In the book, we actually have the top 25 teams. But we're going to talk about the top 10 teams, girls and boys. We'll show you some pictures, maybe give you a few little facts and things like that. After that, we'll talk about some of our most common opponents. In the book, I have the top 50 most common opponents, our records with those teams, and then we'll at that time, we'll honor our... She said I need that for time. She's listened to me speak before. She knows that I have a tendency to speak a lot, maybe over time. At this point, we want to just honor our coaches. We've got a lot of our former coaches here, and we have a lot that couldn't make it. We want to give them a little recognition and shout out. Then we'll look really fast at some of the top statistics. We have about 48 statistics to go through and see who's in the top. And I might just say, we have a donor, an anonymous donor. This is really exciting, that when they've heard about this project, they have offered to fund us a plaque that will go just outside the basketball court in the gym that will have all of these players on there. We'll have the single game, single season, and career statistics in 8 different categories, from points to free throws and everything in between. You'll see all of that. And then the last half hour, this is when we're going to get to the good stuff, and we're going to honor our all half century and all half century. And I might just say, some of you may not know the reason we have a half century girls and an all century boys. This year is the 100th year of Hurricane High School. If you don't know that, that's kind of the reason. Yeah, isn't that exciting? It was November 1925. In fact, it was the week of November 19th. I know that from the Washington County News, that the H was put on the hill. In case anybody, we all wonder that. That's the most iconic thing here, isn't it? Is the H. And so now you know, the week of November 19th, 1925, it was during the fall, that first fall that school started here in Hurricane, that a group of young people went up and built the H, painted the H, and made that neat. So that was the first year, fall of 25-26. So this will be our 100th anniversary. Pretty cool. So that's when boys basketball started. It's in 1925-26. I see Coach Lynn Christensen here. First state championship. He's the coach of 1982. Dan, what you guys hooked up here later. It's exciting. The girls program didn't start until 1975 and 1976. We had a lot of girls teams that played around and played other schools in the county and in the region before that. And some of you have received some text messages, maybe with your mother or your grandmother in one of those teams or on one of those teams. But at Hurricane didn't actually field a team, and they didn't have region and state basketball until 75, 76. We'll talk more about that too. That'll be the last half hour. So let's get into it. Let's talk a little bit about introduction. Maybe first and foremost, I need to just give a shout out to my wife. I don't think there's anybody that is more excited for this day than me, than my wife. And it's for different reasons, you guessed, okay? You guessed it. I think she wants her husband back. But it's been a glorious 5 years studying and research, doing all this research, and I just want to give a shout out to my wife. I say it in the book, but I'll say it here. Thank you. Stand up, Hirschi. I hope that'll carry you or make up for some of these conversations that I've missed and have a repeat many times. But sports, and especially basketball, is my first love, but Dixie's my last love, and I'm grateful for her. Thank you very much. And I also need to give a shout out to my 5 wonderful children. We have 3 of them here today. 2 of them couldn't make it, and their spouses and our grandchildren that have put up with Grandpa or Papa looking at the basketball book and studying when I should have been talking to them and taking it on vacations. And anyways, it's crazy. We finally made it to Alaska this summer, and Dixie said, we've got to do it. And there was just some last minute things. Well, I'll just tell you, it's the 50 common opponents. I did that while we were on the Alaskan cruise, okay? But she didn't notice, okay? Right? So there were just some last minute little things like that they all have sacrificed. And I want to give some shout out here. I don't know if Linda and George Clark are here. Are you here? They're my publisher, Kindle Direct Publishing, and I wanted to just give them a big shout out. Jim Henry wrote the foreword. Jim, stand up if you would. Jim's here. If you don't read the book, read the foreword, please. It's amazing. He's an incredible writer. Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it. And as I mentioned, his younger brother, David Coleman Hinton, did the cover. We appreciate David. Him and Jerry are working in the temple. He's so dedicated. I said, can't you take it off for this thing? No. So he's at the temple. Maybe you'll watch it on YouTube later. But by the way, if anybody that couldn't be here, now might be the time. Brian Hinton is broadcasting this on Facebook Live. And so if anybody has somebody that you know that would like to be here and can't be, let them know. If they can't watch it live today, where my son-in-law Aaron Evans is also recording it. We're going to put it on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, hopefully later this week, and somebody can watch it. So I'm glad I thought of that. Some committee members. So to help me decide, because I didn't want all that pressure to who's going to be on the all-century, all-half-century team, and the top 10 teams, I formed a committee. The committee members have helped greatly, and I've just got to give Daniel McKeon, our high school principal, a shout out for allowing us to have it here in this venue and being on this committee. Daniel, I know you're here. Where are you at? Stand up. You don't know Daniel, he was a volleyball coach here. He's been here a little over 20 years. He's now our principal and doing some great things. Just hired a new football coach. We got our first win in football last night, just to squeak it by. But hopefully many wins to cut. What did we win? Was it 49, 14, or 12? Yeah, it was 56. Yeah, who's counting? We're grateful to have Daniel at the helm. But some of the other members of my committee were some former coaches. We had Coach Steve Jersa. If you guys will stand, all the committee members, let us give you a round of applause. We'll wait till I've announced everybody, but Daniel, if you'll stand up, Steve Jersa, Ken Cahoon, Francie Homer, Shelley Kidd Thomas. These are former coaches. Then we had a couple of former players. We had Jim Hinton. We had Howard Stuckey. Howard, unfortunately, couldn't be here. I hope he's watching on Facebook. We had Corey Hinton, who just prayed for us. We had Rebecca Evans, and we had Scott Hughes. Did I miss anybody? Thank you. Just to tell you a little bit about that meeting, we met at the first of the summer, right at the end of the school year, and we met here at the principal's office. It's a good reason to go to the principal's office, but we had a 4-hour meeting scheduled, and well, let's just say that some of them got a little tired. Maybe they came into the meeting a little tired, but some of us, Jim, right, we were just raring to go. I mean, 4 hours of just discussing. We took 4 hours to talk about girls basketball, and then we took another 4 hours of the boys committee to talk about the boys. And what a, just an amazing experience. And I just thank my committee for helping me organize and put this together. So, a little bit about me if I can. Here's my fan chart. Some of you may not know about me, and so I want to just get you up to speed. So on this picture is me here in the middle with my wife, my two parents. I've got to give a shout out, they're both deceased. Dad, Thomas Hirschi, passed away 3 years ago this month, and my mom, Kay Wright, passed away in 2020. And so I want to give them a shout out. My grandparents, on my dad's side, Merlin and Lola Beatty Hirschi, and on my mom's side, Cal and Zona Roosh Wright. And so that just gives you a little, puts me kind of in perspective. Some of you, if you're here younger, you might recognize our children and their spouses. But this is kind of where I fit. Graduated in the class of 1983, born in 1965. So I missed those 63, 64 years. Doggone it, but I read about them. It was like being there. We'll talk about that. Kind of my claim to fame, this is it right here. My claim to fame is I was a bench warmer on the first state championship team. I was watching Dan Humphreys here score basket after basket. You can see I was into the games. That's me with the hair, the long hair. It was blonde in those days, but a couple of my friends, Derek Emily and Rocky, I've got to give Rocky a shout out. You can see his left forearm if you look close. And then Ken Laston in the background. Coach, Lynn, can you see yourself there? I think I was more into the game than you were. No reply. Okay. Well, I had a front row seat to that first state championship, and that's kind of where this all started, just my love of Hurricane. Well, it started before that. So I was talking to Morgan Humphreys. I remember when him and Roy Hoyt played when I was in 6th grade, and that's about when I started catching fire and liking this sport. But that just tells you a little bit about me. I just love basketball, and I love the youth, and it's been mentioned a couple of times. I did this for 2 reasons. The purposes for me putting this book together are, number one, I've been taught to love history and my ancestors and these great players and coaches and citizens that went before, and I want to give honor to you. And I have to make a disclaimer too at this time. I couldn't find everything, and I'm sorry. There's going to be maybe some really well-known stats that haven't come out. In fact, I heard a story after the book got published about Robert Sturdy, the class of 49, that I thought, it would be nice to know, but you just can't know everything. And I got to that point where I was getting a lot of stuff coming in, a lot of information, and it started slowing, and it would come fewer and far between. And so I thought, maybe now's the time to publish this. And so that kind of led to publishing this and putting together this history. The second reason is the youth of church. I've worked as a teacher for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints Teaching Seminary for the last I'm on my 36th year, and I just love the youth, and I want to inspire them to achieve the greatness that you young people or you old people have achieved already. We can do that. We've had some down years here, but I really feel the tide turning. I think we've got a great group of youth, our 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th graders. In fact, let me just tell you a quick story if I can. I was meeting, is RJ here? Is RJ Hurst here? Where's he at? Stand up, RJ. You're all right. Okay. RJ is a senior this year. He's going to be on our basketball team. So we were at a seminary social just a couple of weeks ago, and I said to RJ, I looked at the stats and I figured out, and I think that RJ's, is it 60? Did I say 60? I think he has 63 pointers away from tying the all-time record that Mitch Bringers has. Where's Mitch at? Right here, okay? Mitch, I'm shooting for you. Okay, so I told him, this is what we're doing this for. I said, hey, RJ, if you hit 63 pointers this year, you'll tie. I didn't tell him that Mitch held the record, but we're here so I can reveal this now. But I kind of got that look in his eye, and he left. I get a text from his coach. RJ, I appreciate this. I get a text from his coach the next day, Adam Stout, our head basketball coach now. Adam, are you here? There he is, right back here. Adam says, hey, did you tell RJ what he needed to do to break the record? I said, yeah. He said, way to go. He was in the gym for 4 hours yesterday, shooting 3-pointers. Isn't that what we want? We want to inspire these young people to break our records. And I'll just make a little prediction. I won't call it a prophecy, but I'll call it a prediction. I think most, if not all, of these records that you're going to you see tonight or today are going to fall within the next 10 years. That's my thoughts. We have some pretty lofty records, and that would be for us to talk about over the water cooler. Which record is going to be the last to fall? But I think within the next 10 years, we can see these records fall. And so we want to inspire this rising generation. Let's give them a hand and motivate them. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Okay, so we're going to talk a lot today about some of the great players in our history. And you're probably not going to hear my name, and we've already heard probably the last you'll hear of me and my good best friend Gary Gimley back here. We're not maybe in the all-century team, but I wanted to give a shout out for our former players. Okay, the book will have everybody's name in it, and to my best recollection, and I could be wrong on my count, but 324 girl players have played at Hurricane High School since 1975 and 76. And you saw the other statistics there. I just broke it down of how many years they played. The boys, 665. I have it written down and I can't remember. It was really close to 1,000. 987 or something like that. One of your math teachers figured it out. But we have almost 1,000 players in our history, okay? And this is a disclaimer because I know I've made some spellings. In fact, I took my book over to the Family History Library the other day to show it off, and first thing, one of the patrons or one of the workers there looks at it, oh, my daughter's name's spelled wrong, and I, oh, gee, well, and then got me looking, and I did spell it right a couple of times. I want you to know that. Your sister Hall here, Charlene, you here? Okay, a couple of times I spelled Darcy's name wrong, a couple of times I spelled it right, and so I apologize in advance. There's going to be some of that. When you have 1,000 people's names that are mentioned multiple, some 5, 6, 7 times in the book, and it's hard to get it. And the rush to get into the publishing. Anyways, I'm trying to make excuses. Can you see that? Okay. Anyways, let's jump in. This is what the book's going to look like. Okay, I'll have a picture of the team. This is the 1925-2016, that very first team. I don't know that for sure, but I couldn't find a picture of that. This was in a lot of the family search pages and the memories of a lot of those players, so I took it and used it because I know it wasn't the 2016. And so Grant Tisbu was the coach. I have a schedule of their schedule, the results, and you can see here in the middle some of the high scoremen. And you'll see games that I couldn't find anything on, I could only find a score. Sometimes I wrote Washington County News, an abbreviation here. Sometimes I wrote Desert News. Sometimes I didn't write anything. But trust me, it was one of those sources, and there's others, but I won't mention all of them, that it came from. One of those sources. Usually that far back, I had to have a source because none of the players are alive. And then I just write up a short little summary of that team. So basically I have a page or 2 pages for every team from 1925 to 26 up to the latest team. Boys and girls, okay? It'll be similar like that. Then I extracted all the data from it and we go from there. Terry, I promised you, there it is. The famous Porter squat. Name the player in the year. Here's Terry Porter. Can you tell us the year, Terry? Was that 63 or 64?
63 and 64.
Okay, so that was your senior year, that picture. And I took this for a couple of reasons. Number one, it helps us remember Terry Porter. A lot of us will remember that. But look at the old gym. Those of us that remember the old high school, doesn't that bring back some great memories? The building was tore down in 2004, but we'll have some memories like this. And there's some other pictures in the book. There's probably over 200 pictures in the book, 361 pages. Anyways, first girls team, 1975-76. Sister Ballard, you were asking about Monta, about Fran. There she is. Jody, is Jody here? Jody Ballard? I know she bought a book the other day. I don't know if she was able to make it. I don't know if anybody else. Helen, is Helen Bust here from that first team? Anyways, those are some of our girls teams. This is about all I could find from that first girls year. The paper didn't record much. Anyways, I'm taking too long on this. Let's jump into this. Let's get rolling here. We're going to talk about some of our greatest teams in history. And we'll start with the girls. We're going to start with region and state champions. So if you'll notice on the left side of the screen, this is our first 50 years. We had 11 teams. This is amazing. 11 teams that won the region in the first 50 years of Hurricane High School. No state championships. That didn't come until year 56. But 11 region champions. None of them were undefeated. We had a 9-1, okay, some 10-2s, but we didn't have an undefeated team. Then if you skip over to the last 50 years, the second 50 years, you'll see that it's bookended by the two state championship teams, 82 and 2012. Neither one of them, though, were a region champion. That tells you how tough our region is you can win the state, but we don't win our own region. And there's some statistics. You can find all this in the book, okay? But I just wanted to go through this quick. Here's our girls' history. This will be the 50th year for the girls. 5 state championship teams, but I believe 8 region championship teams. And they do have a couple, the 1990 and the 94 and the 1984, that went undefeated. So we have 3 girls teams that went undefeated in region, and then 5 that won the state title. Okay, so with that, let's dive in. Let's get after it. Here's our ranking. This is what our committee came up with. Our number 10 team was the 2001 team. And I'll ask you, do we have any standing after that? In fact, why don't we have you stand now? If there's anybody that's here that played on the 2001 team, stand up. This team, we'll give an applause and give this. Awesome. Sheila and Tammy, is that right? Okay, awesome, Sheila. I'm looking forward to meeting you after this is over. This team was amazing. They had the 9th best overall record, had the 2nd best defense, the 6th best point differential. They were amazing. 9-1 in preseason. They lost in the semifinals to Snow Canyon, who they had split with previously earlier in the year. Let's go to the next team. Our number 9 team, Coach Woodbury. I thought I saw Coach Woodbury. This is one of his teams. Coach, stand up with your team. Anybody from the 2017? Shawnee, did you make it? Awesome. Okay. Wonderful. Just some quick statistics. 6th best all-time record. 4th best defense. 7th best highest point differential. This team was actually first in free throw attempts. 511. They averaged over 21 free throws a game. That's amazing, okay? You can read all the other things in the book. Number 18, we're counting down here. This is 1991 team. We have anybody from the 91 team? Stand up. Yeah, give me a round. 1991. Okay. One of the reasons I'm having you stand up is so you can see where your teammates are sitting, so after you can make a beeline for them. I know this is a reunion. I've been pitching it, so. Okay, this team had our 6th best record at 20-4, 6th best offense, 53 points a game, and the 10th best defense. So they had one of the top 10 offenses and defenses. 5th in point differential. Yeah, some great statistics on that team. Let's move to the 7, 1984. We're going way back. Kathy, Delane, I know you're here. Stand up. The Fister, Paula's here. I saw Paula. I thought I saw Paula. There she is. Okay, awesome. Dawn in here, good. Dawn is here. I know Lynette. I have to tell you, I've been talking to a lot of people, and they said, well, I'll tell you, really, Hurricane High School girls basketball took off with Kathy, Delane, and the Fister sisters arrived on the scene. So way to go. Way to go, ladies. This team had the 3rd best record at 21-3. They lost their first game of the year to Page. They lost the first game of the region tournament, and then they lost their first game of the state tournament. Therefore, they placed 5th in the state. But this was our first HHS girls team to place at state. So thank you, ladies. Our number 16, if I'm on the same page here, 1988, one of the Tom Hughes coach teams. I should have said this earlier. Is Patty here? Sister Hughes, where are you at? Stand up, yeah. Patty's here to recognize. We're going to say a lot more, Patty. We just started, but that Tom and Patty Hughes era, amazing what they've done. This was, did I miss one? I think the 91 was Tom's coach, or team too, wasn't it? So this team, I had the 9th best record at 18-6. I have to make a confession. This was our first state championship team, and the reason I had it ranked so low is I just couldn't find out a lot of information. It wasn't just all of us that were biased at that time, the newspapers were. I found a few box scores and results, and I got lucky to find their record, 18-6, but it was hard to find information on these early teams. So thank you. I think we had 6 players on this team make it to the all-century team that we'll announce later. That's pretty amazing. I couldn't find, just really quick, I've looked through this book about 30 to 40 times, but I cannot find a team that had higher than 6. I found a few other teams that had 6 all-century or all-half-century. Okay, let's go to number 5, the 1989 team, the team that just followed that up, back-to-back state championships. Anybody on that team? 1989? Stand up, please. I'll just mention, I'll give one shout out. I can't recognize any, I have to make a confession. Number 1, some of you I haven't met. Number 2, some of you have aged a little bit since your high school pictures, okay? I have a hard time, I want you to know, I teach the 9th graders right now, and I have a hard time, if I say goodbye to them in May, if I see them again in August, it's like, what's that guy's name? And I promise, I knew him well, but they've changed, or I've got older in 3 months, but Brooke Haynes, our MVP of that year, first HHS girls MVP of the team. Way to go, Brooke. 6th in record, 4th in points, in offense, all-time, 56.6. This team averaged, they're beating their opponents in the state tournament by over 12 points. That's amazing. And I think maybe one of the things that really stood out to me is they had a game, I don't know if you girls remember this, against Valley that year. And Valley, by the way, was the 1A state champions. Does anybody remember how many overtimes? 4. 4 overtimes. According to my research, that's the record. They beat Valley 65-61 on January 13th that year in quadruple overtime. And I understand it was a miracle every time, the first 3 overtimes to even get it to the next one. But that's the 89 team. Thank you. Okay, our 4th team of all time is our 2000. This is our first only state championship coached by Randy Wyatt. Randy couldn't be here today, but he wanted me to send his love to all of his former players. Have us stand up, if you would. 2000 state champions. Some of the same. Okay. So Kim couldn't make it today, is that right? Doggone. This team went 9-2 in the preseason, 8-2 in the region, 4th best record, 6th best defense, 10th in point differential. Sheila Robertson was our MVP of this year. And we had also, I think, 4 players that made All-State. Kim Hepworth, Tammy Hepworth, and Miranda Force. We'll talk more about that later. Thank you, ladies. 3rd best team in all time, 1994. Stand up. 1994. This was a back-to-back year. They'd won it in 93. How hard is it to repeat? Ask the class of 89 and the class of 94. Hey, 94, you're having a class reunion. Can I see a float? You guys? Yeah, 30 years. Wow, aren't you guys old? Now you have to tell those stories. 30 years ago, when we were in high school, we used to think those people were old, didn't we, Terry? Yeah, not anymore. They went 6-0 in region. They had the 5th best record, 2nd best offense, and 3rd in point differential. They won all their games by an average of 16 points a game. Becca Elison was our MVP that year. Natalie Hughes, Michonne Hepworth, Elena Golding, Autumn Gibson, some of the other starters and stars. I know I'm missing a lot. I apologize. It's all in the book. But okay, let's go to the 1990. 1990. Those of you that are kind of eliminating by process of elimination are probably realizing who's the top one now. But this was a tough one. I'll tell you, this team, 1990. Stand up. 1990. Would you? Stand up. This team, thank you very much. They didn't win the state championship. They went 23 3-0 and lost in the state championship by 3 points. And if I'm not mistaken, they had a lead with just about a minute and a half left. Heartbreaker, but there's kind of a spiritual story behind it that Patty's going to tell me that I want to hear. It was in the church news. But this is amazing. This first in best record, third highest scoring offense, 8th defense, second in point differential, 17.8. What an incredible team. 23-1, our best record, but not the state championship. And so that leads us to the best team of all time, 1993. Stand up, ladies. Second best record, first best offense. You see, I put a little more on the offense. I know Coach Dodson would argue with me. He puts a little more emphasis on the defense. Where's Coach Dodson at? I thought it's right. Is he here? Okay. We might have a discussion. So this is the best offensive team in school history for the girls. And look at that point differential, 21.8. Third in free throws made, third in free throws attempted. Anyways, they shot free throws and were incredible. A lot of other statistics I didn't have. Summer Hanks, is Summer here? Summer was our MVP that year. Becca, Rennie, Helena, Michonne, Marissa, some of the other top players, but Summer Hanks was our MVP. Way to go, ladies. Thank you so much. Way to go. I know we'll say more about this in the future, but if I'm not mistaken, we've had 5 state championships for the girls, 3 runner-ups, and I'm just going off of memory. Help me. Randy Wyatt got 1, Francie got 1, and I think Tom got 1, didn't he? So those were our 3 runner-up teams. State championship. So let's start with the boys. The boys, Coach Cahoon. Coach Cahoon, where you at? See how he's right here. Stand up, Ken. Hey, on your team, do you have any team? 2000? This is, oh, good, I like this. Okay, thank you. This team took second place. They were first in free throw percentage. This is the highest shooting free throw team we've ever had at 73.8. We could never get that 80%, could we, Coach Lynn? That's always what we were shooting for as a team. Even our highest team, 73.8 in history. Third in assists. They averaged over 14 assists a game. And second in steals. Maybe those were some of the reasons. Telton Hall, Garrett Staker, Mike Robertson is deceased. He couldn't be here, but obviously. Garrett and Telton, are you here? I see one. Who's this? Is this Telton? And Garrett. Okay, thanks guys. Thanks for coming. We also had Kate Eskel and Shay Wood and Brian Clyde. Did I give you guys a shout out? Way to go. Okay, let's go to the 2009 team. This was a coach, speaking of that defense, of Coach Dodson. Here we go. Coach Dodson, stand up with your team. Anybody from 2009? Yeah. These young guys. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you, class of 2009. We had third best record in school history. Third best defense at 43.2, and they were 5th in three-pointers. So this was interesting. They played defense, lockdown defense, and yet they made over 122 three-pointers that year. Some great players: Zach Sorensen, Gordy Dodson, Ryan Smith were all state. We also had some other great seniors: Corey Hinton, Tommy Hirschi, and Gary Bracken. Did I miss any of those seniors? Jace Langston, that's right. Okay. Jace, are you here? Well, you stood up. Thank you guys. Class of 2009. I know they've started, Zach Sorensen, we'll give more shout outs as we get on, but he started an alumni tournament the last 4 or 5 years, and I know between 2009, 2010, and 2012, it's been a battle. So they probably didn't want to hear this. 2009, that you were ranked number 9, a little bit below these guys. Here's a team that most of you have probably never heard about. It took me by surprise. As I was looking and doing some research, I found Burl Langston was an all-state member in 1942, but I didn't know anything about the team. This was one of the great surprises and fun things to study this. Look at that record, 20-6. And by the way, in those days, In 1942, we only had one classification. So you've all watched the movie Hoosiers? It was like Hoosiers. Everybody went to the same state tournament. We didn't have A or B. That didn't come until 43. Okay, and then they had no tournament in 43, so it didn't start until 44. But in 42, they were against everybody. So little tiny Hurricane goes up to the state tournament and wins their first 2 games. And that, I don't know, they took many people by surprise. Look at the record, 20-6. Okay, they had an incredible, this is the best defense of all time, and I know that's slanted, it's 1942, and there's some different rules, but they only allowed 31.8 points per game, but they had some great players. And this Burl Langston was amazing. He was voted first team All-State by the D-News and the Salt Lake Tribune, but he was also voted the outstanding player of the tournament, and they took 4th place by the coaches. And another player was on the first state team, some of you might have heard of his name, Arnie Farron. Does that ring a bell? Arnie Farron played for Ogden that year, and later went on to play for the University of Utah on one of their teams that went to the NIT. Anyways, it's of my opinion that if this team wins 2 more games, in the semifinals they played Granite High School, the defending state champions. If they beat Granite, and then I think Davis, they would have had to play for the state championship. If they win those 2 games, instead of having the movie Hoosiers, they would have had a movie called Typhoons. Because that's what we were known as. Even though our mascot was still the Tigers, we were known as the Typhoons by that, more popular in those days. Anyways, Earl Langston, one of our great players. He's actually Todd's uncle. Is Eric here? Did Eric make it? His son Eric was going to try to make it today. And so I guess he's not here. Okay, let's go to the next team. 1954. We may have 3 players, maybe 4 from this 1954. Louis Beatty, Anton Greeners, Richard Pierce, George Romero. Is George here? Wow, this is awesome. George LeBaron and Gordon Nuttall not here? Okay. George LeBaron, what's that? You're his daughter. Are you Linda? Okay, you're Linda. Okay, so you're representing George. Awesome. And Uncle Don, thank you. Uncle Gordon, thank you. Uncle Don wasn't on this team, but Uncle Gordon was. Wonderful. That was an incredible team. Look at the record, 20-4. That was the best record in school history. One of the top defenses, first or second, depending on how you want to look at it. Point differential. As I mentioned, some of those players were just our great players. Well, you'll hear me kind of reminisce and maybe commiserate a little bit, but these are some of our great players. We appreciate this, one of the great teams. Okay, let's go to the 1952 team. 1952, do we have Beth? Is Beth here? We were going to have 2 of Willard Hirschi's daughters, Carolyn and Beth. Did they make it? Oh, you're here. Awesome. Stand up. Stand up. I don't know if the great Willard Hirschi, Louis Beatty, thank you, Louis, and George LeBaron was on that, and also Gordon Nuttall were on that team. Thank you, Uncle Louis. I appreciate that. The great Willard Hirschi passed away last year, just a year ago in August, and we give our condolences to the family as well as to the Robertson family. We'll mention later, but thank you, Beth and Ben, for being here, and Carolyn and Carl for maybe represent this team. This team, maybe I'm a little biased because of Willard Hirschi being the star and being one of these long-lost cousins. I just learned to love this team. This was had the highest point differential, 14 points a game. And listen to this, they went 9-1 in region and went to the state tournament, and they lost in the second game. I think the first game they beat Spanish Fork, the second game they beat Delta on a prayer. The guy made a 3/4 court shot, am I right, Coach Prince? To win the game at the buzzer. And so they came home and they lost the next game. But this team was amazing. In the region games, they averaged 73.2 points a game. Willard Hirschi led the state in scoring in those 10 games with 242 points, 24.2 points a game. You'll read all about this, and I can't take the time to explain all of it. But we had 3 great players on that team. Willard Hirschi, Ben Madsen, and Steve Roselle. Just incredible. Just maybe to mention a story. This might ring a bell. I told Ron that I was going to tell this story, but Ron told me the story when I interviewed him a couple of years ago. He told me a story that happened in 1959 when they were playing Dixie, and Dixie is the defending state championship team. And I can't remember all the players on the team, but they had a couple of Hafen and somebody else that were even better than Elder Holland. But President Holland, it's hard to call him Jeff, okay? President Holland was on that team, and Hurricanes up just to 2 points with just 5 or 6 seconds to go, and there's a jump, and in those days they jumped at the baskets, if you'll remember, the free throw lines. Dixie won the jump, tipped it to Elder Holland, and he goes up for a basket. Ron Wilson goes up to block the shot, blocks it, no call, whistle blows, crowd spills onto the floor, and then in Ron's words, he said HHS legend Grant Wright comes into the locker room, gets a hold of me and says, Ron, I thought they were going to call a foul when you went up to block Jeff's shot, but they didn't. Way to go. And we won the game. By the way, they were the defending state champions. They were 9-1 at that point that year. They would go on, Dixie I'm talking about, to take second place in state that year. But we beat them at Hurricane, didn't we, Ron? Way to go. Okay? Well, that's all to remind you that there's some legends in this room, and I want you to take advantage of it today. You're going to have a chance to visit with them. I had a chance in 1982. Dan, I don't know if you remember this. Derek, I don't know if you do. But after we won the state championship, this guy came in the locker room, this old guy who said, I graduated 30 years ago, and I played on a team that we were vying for the state championship. Well, he was the uncle of one of our cheerleaders, Holly Madsen, and he said his name was Ben, and that's all I remembered about it. He came in and told us that they almost won the state championship, and I remembered that. And then when I studied this team, then I appreciated what Ben Madsen and Steve Roselle and Willard and George and Lewis and all these other great players did in 1952. And there's just some great stories, and I hope that we can have a lot of those in the future. I'm taking too much time, aren't I? Terry, Ron, we're coming to your year. Class of, and Floyd's here. Class of 1963, stand up. 1963, we've got Terry Kluber, Ron LeBaron. Okay, Floyd Hastings. And help me here. Is this LaVoy? LaVoy 8 here? Okay, awesome. Second best record in school history. They won the region. They took third at state. The story goes that in the semifinals against Judge Memorial, a couple of calls go our way. I guess they kind of pistol whipped either Ed Gibson or Craig Barrick. I don't remember which, but they pistol whipped him at half court, stole the ball, and it was a really tight game, and we ended up losing by a few points and then taking third place, beating out Gunnison. The Sorensen, is Brother Sorensen here? They beat Gunnison for the state championship. They had the great Gary Hill, who is still the all-time leader in Hurricane High School, or excuse me, in Utah State prep school history with over nearly 3,000 points. He scored his last 40 points against us in that game, but this 63 team beat them to win the third place trophy. Okay, the amazing thing about this team had 4 players that scored between 225 and 255 points. That's amazing to have. The way Nick Schultzen says, was Nick here? He was going to try to make it. Yeah. Nick was on this team. He's here? Somewhere. Somebody's pointing. Okay, Nick. He's on this team. Nick said to me, he said, on any given night, we could have had any scored 20 points. Any of these big 4, Terry, Floyd, Ed, or Craig. And that's not to mention the sophomore Ron LeBaron, right? Were you a sophomore on that team? It was getting a lot of minutes and loading into a star. Okay, let's go to our next one. Number 4. 2010, you were hoping to be higher, weren't you? 2010, stand up. Stand up, 2010, I said, this was awesome. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Wow. Okay, wonderful. 6th best record, 6-point differential at 7.8. They had Zach Sorensen, Anderson Rich, Jaden Seeley that all made All-State that year. But Tyler Hinton was also a senior that put up 176 points and 119 rebounds. And I didn't mention all their stats, but I did his just because he wasn't nominated for the All-State team. I think that should have been All-State numbers, don't you? But sometimes it's a little political. Thanks, Tyler. Okay, and all the rest of you. Let's go to number 3, 1992, Coach Jersa. Coach Jersa, where you at? Right here. You have any players, Dan? Coach? Okay, a couple. Good. Couple on that 92. Is Jason here? There he is, Jason. Okay, Jason Jackman, first team All-State, Andy Train, Mitch Bringers, Jesse Wheeler, All-State. We had Lincoln Esplin, once again, one of those left off, kind of like Tyler. Lincoln Esplin, listen to this. His points weren't very high, but he had a school record, 121 assists. Lincoln Esplin, okay? So Jason, you owe it to Lincoln. He fed it to you, didn't he? Okay? Awesome. That team went 18-6, 7th best record. 10th highest point total at 62.3. They led, this is Lincoln, they had the highest assist of all time, 374. Over 17 assists a game that team had. I might mention that they were 8th in rebounds, over 28 a game with rebounds. And they weren't bad in steals either. Okay, this is where we kind of get to a quandary. We've got 2 state championship teams. Which one is going to be the all-time greatest? Well, I'm a little biased, Dan. Where are you at, Dan? Okay, I'm a little biased, Tony, right? So we're going to go in this order. We gave them both the number 1 nod. How do you not? But we're going to talk about 82 last. Let's talk about 2012. Coach Viafanua, are you here? Stand up. Stand up, Coach. All the players, 2012. Oh, it's amazing. That was a fun year. We can still remember it. 82, that's going back a long ways, right? But we can still remember 2012. Let's talk about it for a minute. 4th best record all time. 7th in point differential. 4th in free throw percentage. 7th in assists. 1st in rebounds. 742. They averaged over 30 rebounds a game. Right? Okay? Ken Gubler, that's what you're talking about, rebounds. Colton and Boston, your nephew. I think between the 2 of them, they had over 425 rebounds between the 2 of them. We had Boston, Colton, Taylor, and Weston that made the all-state teams, but once again, Benson should have been there. 130 points, 82 rebounds. I think he even had like 16 blocks as the guard. Where's he at, Benson? Yeah, way to go. That's amazing. It's in there somewhere. I don't remember exactly how many blocks, but 2012. So we've got all-time greatest teams. 1982, let's stand up. There's 4 of us, I know. Dan, Tony, Gary. Gary, stand up. Is Chad here? Is Chad Staglish? Okay, I thought Chad was going to make it. I know that John Beatty is watching on Facebook Live and Reed Slack couldn't make it. But we're grateful. But let's talk about this. And Ken last also. I can't not mention Ken. Am I missing anybody? Shane Reed, the late Shane Reed. Craig, Shane passed away 2 years ago. 5. It's not twice. We'll mention Shane more on the All-Century team, but Shane was on that state championship team too. He actually was 6th man and played a lot. 9th best record. Okay. 1st best offense, 65.5 points a game, all-time greatest. Boys or girls at Hurricane High School. 4th in point differential, 1st in field goals made, 8th in free throws. Anyways, Dan Humphreys was 1st team both papers and MVP in the Salt Lake Tribune. Dan Humphreys. Reed Slack. 1st team, both papers. John Beatty, 2nd team, both papers. Chad Staglish, 2nd team, all region. And then William King to round out, William's not here, is he? To round out our starting 5 on that team. It's just some great memories. And Coach Lynn, did you stand up? Thank you. Thank you, Coach Lynn and Coach Viafanua, and Coach Hughes and Coach Wyatt. So we have those 4 coaches that have won state championships. We appreciate you guys very much. We want to honor you. Thank you. I'm not going to stay very long on this. I thought it would be interesting. No surprise, Dixie is our most common opponent. We played them, as you can see, what was it, 170 times? 170 times, and Cedar just a few less times than that. Okay, what is it? Almost 180. 180 for Dixie, 175 for Cedar, and it goes down. And then in the book, I have the top 50, so you can compare it. Okay? I remember, I've got to say this now, Coach. I've got to give Coach Lynn a shout out. Dan, Tony, Derek, if you remember Coach Lynn telling us this story. This was kind of one of the motivators for the book, but I remember Coach Lynn telling us the story to motivate us that some coach somewhere got into halftime and his team was losing and they weren't doing very well, and he said, that team out-rebounded you by 10 rebounds that half. They had many more assists. They had this many more steals. Finally, one of the big tough players and stars of the team rose his hand and he said, Coach, are you going to take those same stats in the second half? And he said, you bet I am. And he said that player went out there, and I don't remember the details, Coach, but he said that player went out there and tore it up and they won the game. And it was just to motivate us that when you take stats, when they're written down, when they're recorded, when they're reported, our performance increases. Okay? We're no longer is Hurricane High School basketball not taking stats. Okay? We're going to report them, and everything's going to be known. Nothing's going to be a secret anymore. Now we know, and you can see the winning percentage. It's not very good against Dixie, is it? I hope that it gets better as a result of our discussion today. Okay? Brother Bullock, you take it back to those Cedar people that we're after them. Okay? Now we know how far we're down. The score's down, and we're gonna fight like heck to come back. Okay? So that's a fun little statistic. This is the time where maybe I wanted to just give a shout out. I know this is a poor slide, but if we have any of these coaches or their wives that are here, if you'd stand up. We already have Patty here, so just remain until we have all the coaches standing up. Patty, if you'll stand up. Randy couldn't be here, as I told you earlier. We have Shelly Kidd Thomas, who's one of our girls' coaches here. Claire Woodbury, we saw Coach Woodbury. I know it's hard not to give him a round of applause. Claire, where you at, Coach? We have Francie Holbert. Is Francie here? Coach Reddish, Pepper Reddish is our current. Where are we at, Coach? Okay, we have Patricia Kidd. I see Coach Kidd here. We have Ken Cahoon. Ken is one of the two player coaches with Rex Lilly that coach both boys and the girls. We'll mention that later, but Coach Cahoon, Diane Parker, Stuart Wilson's not able to make it. Jane Stewart wanted to be here, but she just had back surgery. Ruth Parks Hirschi. Is that Ruth here? Where's she at? Thank you. Our very first coach, girls basketball, and then Chris McArthur and Mary Grosbeck. Let's give these coaches a hand. Thank you. Okay, let's have the boys coaches stand up if we can. And by the way, I don't know that I mentioned it, but Tom Hughes, girls all-time winningest coach with 137 victories. That's an amazing percentage. 82. But there's some other statistics there that aren't too bad, are they? Look at Claire Woodbury's 66% winning percentage, and Randy Wyatt's, and Rex Lilly. Anyways, it goes on and on. Just great coaches. Okay, let's go to the girls. The boys. Our all-time winningest coach in the history of Hurricane High School boys basketball, Steve Jersa. Stand up, Coach Jersa. Look at that. He broke his century mark, Coach. And I have to say, Coach has been such a great help for me in this whole project. I called him, he said, hey, Hirsch, that's what he always calls me. Hirsch, come on down, I'll help you out. I came down, it was just before he retired. We went in and searched his office. We were looking behind every nook and cranny. Finally, when I left with a box, which I still have, by the way. My wife wants me to get rid of it, Coach. So he gave me his box of all this sacred coaching stuff from 30 plus years ago. It's been a great blessing. You'll see he has so many players on this all-century team because of that, but thank you. Walter Brooks, the great Walt Brooks. There's a long story that I could tell you there, but before he coached at Dixie and made his name famous, he was here. He was the coach of that 1942 team with Verl Langston. Todd Langston, I saw Coach Langston here. Where did I see him? Todd, stand up, stand up. Todd Langston. Coach Lynn Christensen. Coach Lynn, stand up again. Coach Cahoon, Ken Cahoon. Rex Lilly is not here. He passed away a few years ago, but his daughter Angie was going to be here. Is Angie here? Angie, right here. Angie, thank you very much. Coach Lilly, we all love Coach Lilly. Coach Dodson, we mentioned earlier. Coach Dodson, where you at? Right over here, Coach Dawson. Thank you. James Robertson, Don Lay. Don passed away, but his wife Mary had a family reunion in Marysville, and so they were at that. El McGrath was one of our great coaches. Tony Caputo. Tony's here, and I haven't seen him yet. Where's Coach Caputo? There he is. Oh, Coach, 1993 team, right? Runner-up at the state championship. Coach Caputo, thank you very much. That's one of our 3 teams to take second, was the 93 team. We also had Don Homer, Paul Wilson. That's an interesting story. He coached here for a couple of years in the late 40s. Then he went up to Springville. And that 1952 team that I was telling you about, he actually coached the Springville team that won the state championship that year. LaVerkin boy. We had Vernon Church, Boyd Luke, Coach Vifanua is here. Thank you. Thank you, Coach. Ed Loophole, Adam Stout. Adam, we gave you a shout out somewhere. Stand up, Coach. He's our present coach. Coach Reddish, where are you at? Let's have him both stand up. Is Pepper here? There he is. Coach Reddish and Coach Stout, thank you very much for being our present coaches. We appreciate you. Grant Prisbrook, Glenn Arnett, and then Brennan Swikart for just 1 year. Okay, here we go. We're going to have to roll through this. Where am I at? Holy mackerel, I should be through this by now. Oh, this is like one of my favorite parts, the statistics. We're going to roll through it, can we? I'm just going to give you a quick glimpse. I'll mention the leaders in each category. We'll start with the girls. We're going to go with the free throws. Sheila Robertson has the single game record with 16, and Megan Clyde has the single season with 110. And at the end of each one of these, if the 3 of you want to stand up, we're grateful. Jaden Langford has the all-time at 212 free throws. Okay, give them a quick round. Awesome. All the numbers are in the book. I actually do the top 25 in each category, okay? So I knew I wouldn't have time, so I didn't even put it up here. Let's go to field goals. Summer Hanks and Shawnee Viafanu with 15, and Summer with 171, and Megan Clyde is our all-time leader. Megan, where you at? I saw Summer over here. Megan right here. Okay, awesome. All-time career field goals leaders. Let's go to blocks. Look at that, Amy Hughes, single season, 16. Wow. I came across that in the newspaper. That was a gem. Blocks hasn't been kept the best, so I'm hoping that our block statistics goes up. But Alexa Christensen, is Alexa here? Yeah, awesome, Alexa. I know your grandpa would be proud of that. And then our all-time leader is Addie Crandall. Did Addie make it? I know we invited her, but I didn't hear back from her. Okay, let's go to steals. Carly Stratton, Shawnee Viafanua. These 2 girls will just go back and forth. In fact, you look at it, their names are almost every other one of these. And Carly is our career leader, and Shawnee in a third, with Jaden second. Okay, Carly, way to go. Once again, Carly on the assists. She leads with 12 and with 124 single season. And she is, no surprise, the career assist leader with 322. And so the stats are up there. Carly, they're going to come after you. Thank you. Rebounding records. We've got Alicia and Brooklyn with 18. Alicia, is she here? I can't remember what Alicia is. She's got a great story. She played for a state championship on the Uinta team in 1998, lost in the state championship, and then transferred to Hurricane, plays for the state championship in 99 with Coach Wyatt, takes second place, guess who? To Uinta, okay? Her former school. But we appreciate her coming over and playing. Brandy Barrett, look at that. Is Brandy here? Brandy, where you at? Right here, Brandy. Single season, all-time leader of 203. And our all-time leader, Addie, just overtook, as you can see, Jaden. By 4 rebounds, okay? Just overtook Jaden this year. So that's a brand new record. We hope these records just keep falling. We add to them. Okay, let's go to our 3-point records. We have Haley Chesley. I don't know if Haley was able to make it, but she caught fire one night against Dixie and hit 7 3-pointers, and you'll see how many points she scored in just a second. And Maddie Hirschi has the single season. She couldn't be here. She had a wedding, a friend's wedding. Can you believe that? I said, that's probably more important. That only comes up once in a lifetime. This reunion thing it's every 100 years. Okay? You can miss it. She's also the career leader at 141 with Megan, Clyde, and Taylor close behind. And then we get to our scoring. Single game scoring records. Haley Chesley overtook Shawnee Viafanua in that playoff game. Remember that, Shawnee? Against Morgan when you put up 35. I wish I had your stills for that game. I know you were in double figure stills too, but amazing stuff. And then Megan Clyde has the single season scoring record at 442. And are you ready? Our all-time, thank you. Our all-time leading scorer, the great Sheila Robertson. Sheila, stand up. Yeah. By the way, Sheila may have been one of the leaders in the three-point shot too, but I couldn't track those. I had her freshman season, but I couldn't get her sophomore, junior, and seniors. She went on to play, score at over 700 points at Weber State and 143 pointers, if I'm not mistaken, at Weber State. Sheila, way to go! I'm grateful you're here, Sheila. Okay, thank you. Okay, let's go to the boys. Let's go to the boys here. Jackson Last. I know Jackson is playing for Chaminade now. He's got a wedding tonight and flying back to Maui, but I think his dad and mom are here representing him. Brad, Jan, are you here? I thought they were going to be. He said they would. Okay. We have Jackson leading both of those single game with 16 and 173. You know what's interesting? You'll notice that there's some very parallel stats between the boys and the girls. You know, in points and all these. As you go through these, you'll notice this. All-time career free throws, Dace Golding. Dace, where are you at? Dace and Laurie, are you here? We're pointing somewhere, but nobody's standing up. Oh, over here, Dace. Okay, awesome. Awesome, thanks, Dace. 211 free throws, that's awesome. I think the girls was 212. So boys, we've got to pass that, don't we? Catch up with the girls. Okay, some other great ones. So I can tell stories about each one of these. You know what? I have to tell one story why we're on free throws. Coach Jersa would not forgive me if I didn't tell this story. Paul Bundy made 40 straight free throws to end the season, end his season. I can't remember for sure, but he was like 25 for 25 in the region tournament that he was voted MVP. And then I think up the state, he made 5 more, and then he made the 12 going into that. The closest thing that I've heard to that is that Ronald LeBaron made 32 out of 33 and 21 in a row. Ron? 20? 22 in a row. So both school records, but I don't have that, but some great stuff here. Okay, let's go to field goals. Ken Dubler. Ken's been waiting. We're going to talk a lot more about Ken, but Ken had 15 field goals. You know what? Take a guess on how many points Ken scored in that game. I can't believe this, Ken. 32 points. Do the math. That means he made 2 free throws. I don't know how many you shot, Ken, but that's amazing. 15 field goals for a person that's down on the post, and he only gets it. I think he shot that game like 2 out of 3 or something. Jason Jackman. I saw Jason back here. Single season, 177. And our all-time leader in field goals is Chris Hurst. Chris, where you at? Thank you, Chris. Chris is going to get mentioned a lot more here in this last half hour. And then Dan Humphreys. Okay, once again, the blocks. We don't have a lot of blocks, but thanks to Jason, and Coach Jerson, he recorded the blocks, Jason, so we've got them. I think we have a really good leader here in the blocks department. However, Ken did get 12 blocks one game. Okay, so he's got the single game, but Jason has the single season and the career with 177. Thank you, Jason. Our stills, Joe Emerson. I know Joe is here, and I hope Brigham is. Is Brigham here? Is Brigham Kemp, Coach Stout? Brigham get invited? Where's Joe? Joe's here. Okay, good. Always right over here. They're tied on both of these. And here's the neat thing about this. The reason I wanted Brigham here, RJ, it was your job to get him, is because he's only a junior. He set these records as a sophomore, didn't he? So he's got 2 more years to come back to build on these records. Joe's still up there A little higher, he's a little more than double, but let's motivate Brigham to keep these skills coming, okay? We need them. Joe, way to go, all time. You know, one quick story about Joe Elison. Joe was 3 points short of having the only quadruple double in Hurricane High School history. Believe it or not, he had double figures in points, rebounds, not points. Rebounds, steals, and assists. And he had 7 points. Joe! That's incredible. 3 more points and he has a quadruple double. Wow, that's amazing. He filled the stat sheets. Okay, let's go to the assists, just like I'm saying. Here's Joe Elison, 12 at a single game. Lincoln with a school record, as I mentioned a minute ago, 121. And Chris Hurst is the all-time leader in assists. That probably doesn't surprise you because you don't know what's coming up with points and Chris, okay? I've been telling Chris the secret's going to be out after today, but look at this. I want you to remember that. All-time leader in assists. So if anybody says, well, all he did was shoot the ball. No, look. 188 times he passed the teammates that scored. And Joe's right up there, okay? Look through the list. Let's go to rebounding. Ken Gubler, all-time single game at 24 against Wayne. Ken, do you remember that? No? Okay, a lot of games you played. And Ken last has our single season rebounding. But once again, I couldn't find, I think for Ken's senior year, I could only find like 9 games that I could get the rebounds. And he was like at 200 at that point with 9 games. In fact, is he in there? Well, he's not in the top 5, but you'll see him in one of these. Jason Jackman, 482. All-time leader. Thank you. Thank you, Jason. Boston, Colton, Chris. There's Chris's name again. Look at that. 361 in rebounds. Boys 3-point record. James Binion hits 8 against Dixie. He was on fire that night. James, are you here? There he is right there. James, stand up. You remember that night, James? Never forget it, right? Okay. Mitch Bringers. I think Mitch had a similar game against Dixie where he scored 36, right, Coach Caputo? Scored 36 against Dixie. I don't remember 5 or 6 3-pointers that you had that night, but he's got the single season at 60 with Aaron Pugh right far behind Mitch. And your all-time leader in 3-point baskets is Mitch Bringers. Thank you. Congratulations. And you see RJ's name here? This is the statistic I was making mention of. We bolded his name because this is still active. RJ's a senior. We've got a great team coming up, don't we? Okay, so let's get it. Get that record in, let's win some games and get to the state tournament. Fun stuff. Okay, our scoring records. Jackson last with 43. Oh, there's so many stories to tell here. There's James Binion at 37, and there's that 36 game of Mitch that I was talking about. But I've got to quickly tell this story here with Keith Schultzen. Is Keith here? Keith? Keith Schultzen brought this to me, and I would have never found it without his help. It was in the Hurricane school newspaper that Keith Schultzen scored 37 points against Boulder City on, look at the date, January 25th, 1974. Lo and behold, 5 weeks later, his close friend and teammate, Dan Beardall, scores 38 against Delta in the region game. So Keith gets to hold the record for 5 weeks. And Dan Beardall holds the record for what, 42 years? 5 weeks separated. There's just all kinds of fun statistics that you can get when you look at these things and look close at them. But look at these single season. Jackson last. This senior season that he put up was phenomenal. Across the board. Amazing. 173 free throws, 572 points. Like I said, he's still playing in Chaminade, so we're still rooting for him. Okay, our all-time career scoring record goes to Jackson last at 1,050. Chris Hurst. Yeah. At 942, Jason Jackman, Aaron Pugh. Is Aaron here? If you're in this list, stand up. I should have had the girls stand up too. If you're in this list, is Aaron just... Oh, they're being humble. None of them want to stand up. Dan Humphreys, 766. Thank you. Mitch. Jack Sorensen's here. Okay, at 7:45, Aaron Tibbs is here on the front row. Ken Gubler's here. John Beatty's watching on Facebook. Telton, where are you at? Telton was here. Telton's here, okay? Bryce Thomas couldn't make it. He's fighting fires in Colorado. Okay, we've got Ken Last is watching on Facebook. Jason, Aaron. Did I miss anybody? Thanks, guys. This is, I know this gets a lot of accolades, but we appreciate you for making this a wonderful place. Fun to watch games when you score quick points like that and all these unselfish things. Okay, we're going to have to roll. I don't know what I did with my phone. Where am I at? Okay, 15 minutes. We might be able to do this if we roll. Can we unveil it? Unveil the all-century, all-half-century teams. We're going to start with the girls. We'll go honorable mention first. And just for the record, we decided that 100th year anniversary of boys basketball, we pick 100 players. Okay? So we picked 100 players, and I want you to know, and I should have said this long ago, this was one of the things that I forgot, but there are so many things in this book that are subjective. Okay, that were just maybe up to me making a decision or the committee. They're not objective, like total points. That's an objective. We can't argue with that, can we? It's subjective. But basketball's a lot like that. The coach decides who's going to start. The coach decides who's going to play. The referee decides who's going to get the foul called on them. And I just had this thought come to me, and I've got to share it with you. But in paraphrasing the great James in the Bible, he said, he didn't say this, but I'll paraphrase it to fit basketball. He said that whosoever has not second-guessed a coach or criticized an official, the same as a perfect man. Am I wrong? Okay? We've all second-guessed a coach, haven't we? And we've all criticized an official. And so we can make those judgment calls. And I hope that you do this. I hope you go home and say, I don't know what he was thinking. Because, guys, I'll be honest with you. Sometimes I look at it and I think, I don't know what I was thinking. But when I came up with this list of 100 players, Corey knows this. He's went through it with me over and over. In fact, I've texted Ken Cahoon so much that Ken finally said, David, I don't care. Just make the decision. Okay? Am I wrong? Okay, I was just wearing him out and some of these other committee members that I just kept pestering because it's like, okay, who's the best? You're the coach. Who do I choose? And anyways, it's so hard. And I want you to know there was a list of 30 to 40 great players that could have been on this list that aren't. And there's probably 5 to 10 that are on the honorable mention list that you're going to say, what was he thinking? That person should have been on one of the first, second, or third teams. Okay? Have some fun with it. Take it for what it's worth. But here it is. Okay? I hope we don't offend you. We love you. My wife told me to say this. This is a day of celebration. We are celebrating the greatness of Hurricane High School and Hurricane High School basketball. And I just appreciate you guys being here. So let's unveil it. Here we go. Girls, and we'll have you stand and then we'll applaud after every 10. Is that all right? Honorable mention. And I just go from the first teams to the latest teams. So Deline Orvin, if you would stand. Paula Pfister, I know you're both here. Lynette Pfister is not here. Tammy Scott, to my understanding, is deceased. I just found that out. Celeste Sundin is here. Fourth row. Paula Prince. Is Paula here? Robbie Golding, Heather Osted, Rennie Golding, and Helena Golding to round out our first 10. Thank you. Thank you very much for being here. In the book, you'll be able to read all about their statistics. I just thought I'd put a couple of things really quick that you might just read on one line, okay? But we've got to move. Here we go. Our second set. Brooke McKell, Patricia Ebert, and if you're here, just stand up. Patricia Ebert, Alicia Urest, Miranda Force, Stephanie Eves, and Lima. I know Lima's here. Lima Samphon, Cassie Spencer, Rachel Wilson, Courtney Gibson, and Brandy Barrett. Thank you. Names here. Lima. Thank you. Look forward to meeting you. And I apologize. I should have made mention of this. I used your maiden names. I hope this is all right. I couldn't keep track of all, especially in the book. So your maiden names can be what's used. Let's go to our third set. Honorable mention. Nicole Woodbury, Angela Shields, Taylor Staglish, Casey Gubler, Tasha Kyle, Maddie Hall, Sella Fila, Shania Hurst, London Staglish, and Taylor Anderson. Who's here? Angela, is that you? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, we'll go to our last set of honorable mention. We have Kylie Stevens, Haley Homer, Candlin Hinton. I know Candlin's here. Haley Chesley, Morgan Stout, Addison Crandall, and Mazzoni Dominguez. Thank you. Thank you. Mazzoni's here. Candlin, thank you. Okay, let's go to the boys. Let's go to our first round of boys. We're going to start with the 25-26 teams. These first three players played on all of the first three teams. That means they were sophomores when Hurricane High School started. Cuman Stratton, Reed Wilson, that is Ron and Kelly's father. Owen Beatty, Grant Wright, that is Rick Wright's father, and Corey Wright's grandfather. I told the story about Ron and him. Paul Wilson, Eldro Dutch Reeve, Darwin Bill Isom, Ward Wright, his son Sam's going to stand up for him. Paul Sullivan, Carlson Terry, and Delworth Roosh. Do we have any descendants? Stand up, Ron, Kelly, Sammy. Okay, I don't think, Rooshes, do we have any Rooshes here? Was Del Roosh Jr. able to make it? I texted you. Okay, here we go with the next round. Oh, the story. Okay, I've got to move. So this is our second round. Robert Langston, Robert Bob Sterling. I think his son Brad is here. We have Ben Madsen, Steve Roselle, George LeBaron, Lewis Beatty. Lewis is here from this team. Gordon Nuttall, Richard Prince. Richard is here. Stand up, please. Michael Hirschi, Gerald Wilson, and Bruce Church. Did Joey make it? Well, go get the book. You can read all about these incredible athletes. They were all amazing. Amazing athletes. Robert Langston is Todd Langston and Luann's father. And Brad, Gary. Am I missing? Who am I missing? Okay, let's go to the next one. Next set, Ron Wilson, David Reeve, Floyd Hastings. Floyd's here. Craig Barrick just passed away. We give our condolences within the last year. Terry Porter, here in the second row. Ed Gibson has passed away. His daughters are very interested though in what's happening. I've been communicating with them. Ron LeBaron's here on the first row. Ron, stand up. Kerry Gubler, did Kerry make it? Kim? No? Kelly Wilson and Rick Hinton. Is Rick here, Jim? Awesome, thank you. Thank you, great players. These are Don Lays, and we're starting to, mostly Don Lays players. Maybe Rick Hinton might slip into the Rex Lilly years. Okay, now we're going to go to Rex Lilly and Coach Lynn Christensen's players. Joe Campbell, is Joey, anybody here from this family? I thought they were going to come, Casey. Tony Matthews, where's Tony? I thought Tony was going to be here. Steve Eisen said he's in the back. He's here. Tony, way to go. He's in the back there. Awesome. Tony Matthews, George Hunter, Dan Beardos caught me yesterday and said he wouldn't be here. Morgan Humphreys is here. Morgan, where are you at? There you go. Stand up, Morgan. Stand up. 369 points as a senior. Morgan Humphreys. Roy Hoyt. Look at this. Is Roy here? Tony? No? Okay. McKay Houston, Jason Gubler, Todd Langston's here, I know. I don't know if Steve Shamble made it. Todd, stand up. So Todd is our only person that made it as a coach and a player of the All-Century team. So thank you. Thank you very much. Some great players there. Coach Lynn, you see where they all are? Coach Lynn's right over there, guys. Okay, let's go to the next. We have Gary Blackham Terpstra right here on the third row. Gary. We have Chad Staglish, Shane Reed, as I mentioned earlier, deceased 5 years ago. Paul Bundy, Eric Fernelius said he wasn't going to be able to make it. He's in Rexburg, Idaho. Ryan Staglish, is Ryan here? Oh no. Jay Hinton wouldn't make it. His daughter's getting her doctorate degree today. Aaron Tibbs right here on the front row. Aaron, stand up. Joe Emerson and Dave Golding. Thank you guys. Appreciate you. We'll read the book and see about all the great things. Let's keep going. We have Cal Milton. Andy Train is here. I met Andy. Where you at, Andy? Right here. Andy Train. Honorable mention, Jesse Wheeler. I saw Jesse. Stand up again, Jesse. There he is, right over here. Okay, Lincoln Esplin. Is Lincoln? Lincoln. Roy Darrington. I don't know Freud or Corey Wright. Is Corey here? Philip Carter. Danny Wheeler. I like that. Danny Wheeler. Good job. President Wheeler. Rob Litchfield. Did Rob make it? You didn't know if he's in Texas. And Josh Woodbury. Josh here? Awesome. Josh, way to go. Okay, thank you guys. Let's go to the next one. Next list. Let's see, who are we talking about there? That's mostly Coach Jersa, Coach Caputo, right in here. Those are probably all Coach Caputo. And then let's see, Josh. Is that yours, Coach Kim? Is Josh yours or Coach Caputo's? Okay, Coach Caputo. Oh, that's right. He left in 98, so I don't know. Okay, Josh Hill. This is the first one of Coach Cahoon's. Josh Hill, Mike Robertson, the late Mike Robertson, Garrett Staker, stand up. Chad Hughes, I saw. Chad, I want you to know, Calvin is gunning for your 195 rebounds. He's going to break it this year. I know he will. Cade Esplin. Cade, awesome. Justin Thornton, I don't know if Justin's here. Daniel Carpenter. There's Daniel. Thanks, Daniel. Brian Robson. Gordy Dodson and Ryan Smith. Gordy Dodson and Ryan Smith. Where you at, guys? Stand up. I know Brian's here to help me carry books. Thank you, guys. Okay, so let's see. We go to the Coach Cahoon years here, and then we go to the Coach Dodson years. We're picking up, okay? Finishing with Coach Dodson, we have Anderson Ridge, Jaden Seeley. Stand up. Anderson's here, Jaden. We've got Taylor Parker, Weston Yardley, all from that state championship team. Cody LeBaron was on that team too. James Binion, Reagan Hinton, Josh Parker, Dax Daly. Dax is still playing. He pronounced the name of the school. I can't remember. It's like North or South Dakota. Trakel or Dustin, are you here? Okay, awesome. Congratulations. Dawson's here, it looks like. Cool. Daxton. And Cruz Gardner. Cruz on the back row here. Cruz has got some younger brothers, McCabe and Gunner, that are going to break the records, Cruz, okay? That's what you want, don't you? Good. Well, congratulations to all of you wonderful honorable mentions. Thank you. To everybody. Okay, we've got to hurry, they said. Okay, let's go to the third team, girls. Third team, our MVP is Brooklyn Goobler, Maddie Hirschi, Kim Hepworth, Carly Stratton, Amberly DeMille, and Kathy Slack. Stand up. Yes. Amazing. Okay. Thank you. Let's go to our 13 boys. I know we're rushing, but we've got to hustle here, okay? Our MVP of the third team, Aaron Pugh. We've got Bryce Thomas, Zach Sorensen, Colton Marshall, Telton Hall, and Bill Bailey. Bill is where at? Right there. Stand up, Bill. Stand up. Want to see you. Okay. Yeah, everybody. We want to see you. Beeline it. We want to talk to you after too. You guys all stay. We want to visit with you. Congratulate you. Meet you in some cases. Okay, second team. Second team. Should we start with the girls? Let's do it. MVP, Tammy Hepworth. Jade Langford. Amy Hughes. Sinead Biafamura. Laurie Wilson. And Natalie Hughes. Thank you. Awesome. It's like I said, guys, you know this. The difference between maybe a first teamer or a second teamer is, who knows, just maybe it's opinion. Okay, you guys are awesome. Every one of these girls and women are so accomplished, and you've set the standard and the bar so high. We just appreciate everything that you've done. Thank you. Let's go to the second team for the boys. Chris Hurst is our MVP. Reed Slack, John Beatty, Mitch Bringers, Ken Last, and Boston Goobler. Awesome. Is Boston here? Did Boston make it? Colton? Oh, he's here. He's here. Awesome. Okay, Boston, Mitch, and Chris, you're here. Reed, John, and Ken couldn't make it. Awesome. Congratulations. This is amazing, guys. Let's go to, we ready? First team girls? Let's see. You know who's there, right? You ladies, girls are paying attention. It's just, how does he rank them? And what, I don't know if there's any rhyme or reason to it, but here we go. Our MVP is Sheila Robertson. Stand up. Jamison, Michonne Hepworth, Summer Hanks, Brooke Haynes, and Megan Clyde. Awesome. Wow. MVP, state tournament MVP. Okay, leading scorer with 949 points, 4-year starter with over 900 points. And I think there's still 9 games that I couldn't account for. So, who knows? Maybe she averages over 10 points a game in those 9 games. She makes it over 1,000 too. But it's just amazing what's been done. And we thank you. Thank you all for everything that you've done. And here we go. Boys, our MVP is Jackson Last. Jackson Last. On the first team, we have Burl Langston, Willard Hirschi, Ken Gubler. Stand up, Ken, please. Dan Humphreys. Dan, stand up. And Jason Jackman in the back row. Yeah. Well, it's amazing, isn't it? I just appreciate all of you. I just have to give a shout out to you for coming. Thank you for being here, and please give yourself a round of applause. It's the fans, right? All you players. It's mothers washing jerseys and taking us and reminding us and waking us up, and dads going out and shooting. I just can't think of Lee Pugh. I remember, where's Aaron at? Aaron was here. Did we see Aaron Pugh? I thought we saw him. Lee Pugh shooting baskets with Aaron, and everybody remembers those days, and I know that each of these fathers did. Guys, I just can't thank you enough. We appreciate everything that you've done. I guess maybe just before we close, I'll just say this. I think Dixie and I are kind of interested in maybe closing the chapter on this. But yeah, we know that it's a little bit open, and maybe in 25 years, who knows, maybe we'll have another one of these, and we can have some more. So if you dig deep down in Grandpa's archives and boxes and you find something, let me know, okay? I'll file it away. I'm not going to actively work on it, but maybe in 20 or 25 years when we get back from doing some other things we have planned, we can jump in it. But thank you all for coming. Thank you so much for what you've done. Okay, now I want to just say really quickly, you've got a lot of books that have been purchased or haven't been and still want to. You've got some ways that you can access those if you want to. This line over here is those who have pre-ordered. If you've already pre-ordered a book with us, Venmo, that's where you'll pick it up. If you want to buy one with cash or check or Venmo, you can also go to this line. We'll have 2 people in each line. But while we're staying around, let's just socialize, okay? Let's talk, let's meet, buy some books, okay? Get some memories, and thank you so much. And by the way, one last thing. Support Beach Days. Okay, I pulled you away 2 blocks. Go buy an apple, talk on a snow cone. Thanks for coming, guys. Appreciate you. Cass, thank you, and your crew very much. Eve and Levi, thank you for being here.
We're sitting here, right?